MG body shells from British Motor Heritage are normally supplied complete with front wings, bonnet, doors and boot lid. This is because of the skills needed to fit these parts to a new body shell and get a uniform panel profiles and gaps. Exceptions to that would be if the shell, without these parts, known as a tub, was to be the basis of a race car or supplied to a specialist bodybuilder. A special exception was made for the MG Car Club, who had a project to restore a car that had been donated to them. Adam from the club came to see us and told me about their midget.
So, Martin, we've got our 1966 Mark II MG Midget, which is a one-owner car from new. Belonged to a lovely chap down in Devon who got in touch with me back in November because he started restoring the car a few years ago, but some health and some family issues mean that he's not able to continue it, and he's donated the car to us.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, it's a really original car. Like I said, one owner from new, fairly low miles. It's got an Ashley hardtop. It's a really lovely little car, old English white. It's a late Mark II. It's October 66. So it's a late Mark II, as I say, just before the 1300s came in. We've got it back at Kimber House. We've started to strip it down, and we found that the tub perhaps isn't quite as
sound as it looks.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of rust in the rear. And I thought that with you guys obviously producing new midget shells, you'd be the ideal people for us to come and see.
Okay, I don't think we go back that early. From Mark III onwards, so it's about 1967 for a complete shell. But maybe we could offer a tub, so it's literally just the underpinnings of it. So you can then put the rear wings on there, and you can bolt the seals and everything back onto it. So maybe we could look at providing a 67-ish year tub.
That'd be fantastic. Roger's given us quite a number of parts with the car. The front wings are good, the doors are good, and I've got seal panels, things like that. I've got a list of panels that came with the car that I can give you. Okay,
excellent. Maybe what we could actually do then, building the project up, because obviously we can get the rear wings, because obviously they're quite a bit different with the cutout for the hood and so on at the top of the B post, that we could maybe take the tub a little bit further than a tub and actually assemble the wings, seals, that onto the actual finished tub for you as well.
That'd be amazing if we could.
Yeah?
Brilliant, yeah.
Should we go and have a look at manufacturing?
Yeah, perfect. Cool.
A new body shell really starts to look like an MG Midget on the main assembly jig, where we're seeing sub-assemblies made up from yet smaller sub-assemblies that come together and build up into a complete body shell. Sub-assemblies like this inner wheel arch. Here we're seeing the seatbelt mountings being spot welded on using a vertical spot welder. All the smaller items go on at an early stage, parts such as wiring clips or weld nuts like these going onto a front chassis rail. After adding the support tubes, which are MIG welded into place, these chassis rails are the basis of the front H-frame assembly. As the geometry of the finished shell is critical, parts for the H-frame are all held securely in a jig, while the front suspension melts are welded on. The jig is then opened to allow access to complete the welding. Parts for the footwell assemblies are actually positioned and secured in the jig using a hanging gun. The whole assembly is removed to the floor standing vertical spot welder, where full access is possible to complete the welding. The footwell and the H-frame come together to make up the complete front end assembly. Other major assemblies are the main floor, rear floor and the tunnel and the rear bulkhead. These are the building blocks that come together on the main assembly jig, starting with the front end. The main floor is added together with the centre cross member. Next onto the jig is the transmission tunnel together with the rear bulkhead assembly. The rear floor and wheel arches follow, and it's a two-man job to spot weld along the front edge using the heavy long arm welding gun. The inner seals are welded into place, and again, welding inside the footwell requires 2 men to handle a long arm gun. After MIG welding the jacking points, the outer seals can go on. For a complete body shell, these would have been added as part of an assembly that includes a rear wing and rear deck. However, these are not required for this tub. The last major sub-assembly to join the body shell is the front shroud and A-post. Its position is assured by adding the jig side piece, which defines the door aperture. Hanging guns are used to weld down the sides of the footwell. The midget tub is now ready to come off the main jig and go onto a turnover stand. Here, welding that was not accessible on the main jig can be completed. Along the bottom of the sills, along the bottom of the rear bulkhead, inside the rear tunnel. The final panels added at this stage are the 2 rear shock absorber mountings. They are MIG welded into place. Seams along the top of the footwells and at the rear bulkhead are also MIG welded. The tub is now passed on to the finishers who check and rectify any panel surface imperfections. Because this is only a tub and not a complete body shell, the only external surfaces to look at are the sills, the A-post and the front shroud. It's the join between the shroud and the A-post that receives the most attention. The surface is cleaned and smoothed down with an angle grinder, and the whole outer panel area is worked with a body file, spoon and a DA sander. Where the panels have been spot welded together, a flux is applied to the surface before working lead filler over the seam. Regarding modern health and safety, the filler does not actually contain any lead, but does behave in the same way, so the traditional skills can still be used. The surface is profiled using a lead file and finished with sanders, ready for painting. As for the doors, bonnet, boot and wings aren't to be fitted to this tub, it went straight off to a local body shop for the normal 3-stage priming process and came back looking like this. For a comparison, this is a full body shell.